It's going to be tough sledding for us until we get better in that area. We're not good in that area. We were JV again tonight, and I'm talking about up front on both sides. We lost the battle in the line of scrimmages, and that's football. We make no excuse. It is what it is. We got to be better than we were. We'll turn over every stone to do that. We got a long week coming up between this and our next one. We'll make good use of that time and assess not only what we're doing, but who we're doing it with.
We're doing this now with our guy, Jerome Bettis, who is taking some time out of his preparation for the PXG College Golf Showcase coming up Wednesday night on the Golf Channel. And Buzz, I hate to ask this question about a Mike Tomlin team, about a Steelers team, but how did this franchise, dare I say it, lose its way? Whether it's Chase Claypool's immature and selfish antics, whether it's being run on or not running consistently, the way we've gotten used to seeing, like
getting blown out by the Bengals. The Bengals
what's
blowing you out.
What's happened to the Steelers as we know them, man? And the division they can still win the division, which is crazy, but they just look lost.
Well, it's more the transition from when you lose guys on that offensive line, you had guys retiring, you had guys moving on to different teams. So you, in essence, have a whole new offensive line. And when that happens, then you're going to have some issues. So the problem also is that they got some injuries on the defensive line. And because of that, when you don't have an offensive line that's solid, you don't have a defensive line that's healthy and consistent, then that's what you see. That's the kind of football you see. It's not anything.
It's not culture.
Science. No, it's not culture. It's X's and O's. And Coach said it. We got to look at who we're doing it with, because that's part of the issue. You got to put the best guys out there, and sometimes the best guys you have is not good enough. And that's another part of the equation. I think when you look at what they did the last couple of years, they've neglected putting that equity in the offensive line. The last couple of drafts, they didn't draft any offensive linemen in the top 3. Last year before, stuff like those are times when you have an opportunity to determine what kind of team you're going to have, right? Where do you put that draft equity? Because we know the Steelers aren't a team that goes out and get high-priced free agents or, the best player at that position at that time. That's not what they do. So they develop through the draft. And if you're not drafting that offensive line, defensive line, and if you miss a couple years and then all of a sudden you're starting to age guys out, that's a problem. And I think that's kind of where we are, them little neglecting to a certain degree that offense, defensive line coming back now to haunt them.
Based on the talent that they have, based on what you see right now, what should their identity be?
Well, right now, they cannot get a 3rd and 1, right? They can't get a yard when they have to. And that's the disappointing part. But guess what? At 13 weeks in, you have to know who you are. And you've got to say, you know what? Week 14, week 15, we need to change the game plan and now focus on what we do well and stop doing the things that we do poorly. And I saw last week, that a couple 3rd and 1s, they're trying to get it, couldn't get a yard. So at that point, you have to stop doing that. I'm not saying stop running the football, but in those critical moments, you're not going to pick up that yard. So now you want to do something that's more effective. So I just think they need to change some of the play calling to benefit what they do better. Right now, they're throwing the football much better. So you've got to throw the football more. It's unfortunate that I'm saying that, right? I can't believe I'm saying it, but that's what you have, right? After week 14, you have to reassess and say, you know what? We cannot get this yard. So either we're going to spend this whole week trying to get this offensive line to get a yard, or we're going to say, let's do some things that we do better and let's focus our energies there. So I just think you can't have it both ways. week 15, you know what you are. So be who you are. Right now, they are not the physical dominating team on the offensive line or on the defensive line.
So in other words, put more on Ben in the passing game. Michael and I had a heated and lengthy argument about this last week. Is there a world in which the best thing for this franchise is to bring Ben Roethlisberger back next season? Is there a world where that makes sense for this team?
Absolutely. Let me tell you what world. Now, it's not a perfect world by any stretch, but here's how you bring Ben back. You have to look at the model that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers employed. They brought in a quarterback that was 40 plus years old. How do you protect this guy? What they did, they got a first round left tackle. They turned around, they went out and got another offensive lineman, right? And said to ourselves, we are going to put the best offensive line we can possibly put in front of him to protect him, right? And we're going to pound the football to protect the quarterback. So they did all these things to protect the quarterback. That is an age quarterback. So now you don't have to worry about Tom Brady throwing the ball 45 times. Now, he can do it 2 or 3 games, but to ask him to do it 17 weeks, now you're doing him a disservice. So when you look at Ben, what do? If we go out and get the best offensive line we can possibly do, i.e. you saw Kansas City do it last year. You saw when Tampa brought in Tom Brady, what they did, they committed resources to the offensive line. If the Steelers want to bring Ben back, because right now there's not many options out there at quarterback, he can still spin it. We saw that. If he's given the time, he can still spin the football. He cannot move as the way he used to move. And one of his trademark plays was shrugging off guys and then making that play. That's out of the repertoire. We understand that. But you got to protect him. If you protect him, he can still throw it. He can still help you win, but you have to protect him with the offensive line.
I don't know if you followed it. Mike Tomlin got very upset when the USC job was still open. His name came up. He was very upset that his name came up in the USC job. But then we started looking at some of the money, Jerome, that these coaches are making. I said to Mike Smith, hey, maybe he should throw his name back into that ringer, because these college coaches are getting pro money. Do you understand why he got so upset? And how do you look at college coaches, Notre Dame included, Notre Dame's former coach leaving, getting bigger money at LSU? How do you look at some of these college coaches getting these huge contracts?
Well, first of all, Tomlin, I think one of the reasons he was upset was he considers himself in the top echelon of coaches, which he should be considered. Obviously, having won a championship, there's maybe 6, 7, 8 coaches that have won championships, right, in the NFL. So from that standpoint, he's in a different class. Well, none of those other coaches in that class were being considered. So he's like, why am I being considered? That, I'm not on that class. So that was his issue. And it made sense to me. I get that part. Also, the other part to that is the way the game is changing, and now the players have more opportunity. They can go with this portal thing. I think it's a great thing for college athletics as a whole, because it doesn't force the player to have to sit in a situation where the organization doesn't have that same type of loyalty, right? You can do what you need to do. So I get that part. Now, the coaches being paid what they're being paid, we understand that this is a business, and the business is winning football games. And although, yes, it is a college setting, college environment, when you look at these programs, it's an arms race with the best facilities, the best fields, the best stadium, all these things. And so naturally, that competition is going to go into the coaching side. And these universities that's not afraid to say, hey, we want the best, we're willing to pay for it. Well, now all of a sudden, you get the arms race in terms of coaches. So I understand the money. I know that my alma mater, being, you know, a Notre Dame guy, we have not committed to playing that game. And so, for instance, when you see our coach leave, well, you look his base salary. His base salary was a third, I believe, of what he got paid, right? So at that point, you have to say, okay, I understand, I get it. And I'm thankful for what you did for our program. We appreciate it. And I don't see why so many people are upset. They're all upset about him leaving. And that, if you understand the situation, he was getting paid a third of what he's being paid. You cannot pay someone a third and think that it's okay. He was underpaid in terms of his value, being the second most winningest coach behind Nick Saban, and you getting paid a third of what he's getting paid. So I understand him leaving, and I get that part. The problem is college athletics. You have to change some of those bars to allow these coaches to stay. If you change the National Signing Day, you push that back, now it allows the coaches to be able to stay.
Hey, thanks for watching Brother from Another on YouTube. Make sure you hit subscribe before you leave, and be sure to watch us 3 to 5 p.m. Eastern Time on Peacock. Appreciate you.